Hello students, welcome to Vyas Education Kota. In this session of NCERT discussion, we'll be picking up a topic from class 12th NCERT, and what are we going to discuss? We'll be discussing the chapter Matrices. This is the third chapter from your book, the NCERT part 1 of class 12th mathematics, and today we'll be discussing in this session exercise 3.1. So let's start with this first question based on this exercise 3.1. What does the first question say? Let's talk about this one. In the matrix A equals this big matrix, write the order of the matrix, okay, the number of elements in this matrix, write the elements A13, A21, A33, A24, A23. These are the elements that we need to identify in this matrix. Okay. Now, how do we go about finding those things? So, let's recall what a matrix looks like and how do we represent a matrix. Let's see a general matrix of some order. Some order, yes. What does the standard representation of a matrix look like? So, a matrix of order m by n can be written as this Aij, where Aij is element in the ith row and jth column. Aij is the element present in the ith row and jth column, and yes, the order is m by n, where m represents the number of rows and obviously the value n represents the number of columns. Let me write that. This represents the number of columns. Okay. What next? This particular matrix, this is a short form, the longer version or the elaborate form in which I can write the matrix as this. What do we have over here? The first element would be A11, which is actually equal to the first row, which is actually lying in the first row and first column. Now this here is the first row. The rows are horizontal. Rows are actually horizontal. The columns are vertical. Column C. C can be written as this, right? C. The columns are vertical and the rows are horizontal, as you can see, right? So A11 is this. Then we have A12, the first row and the second column. Then we have A13 and correspondingly we can have A1n. The first row, third column, first row and last column, that is the nth column. That's what you can observe, right? Similarly, in the second row, what you'll have is A21, A22, A23. These are the elements that will be present in the second row. This represents second row, first column, second row, second column, second row, third column, second row, third column, right? And similarly, at the end, you'll have A2n, which implies second row and nth column. Correspondingly, we can have the last row, that is mth row, first column, mth row, second column, mth row, third column, and mth row, nth column in this manner, right? These are the elements and that's the complete form. These are all the elements present in this matrix. How many elements do you think are there? The number of elements would be actually equal to the number of rows times the number of columns. That is the product Mn. That's the product Mn. That is what you'll be having as the number of elements. Okay. Now, keeping these things in mind, we can attempt this question very easily, right? What does the question say? The question simply asks us to find the order of this matrix over here. So, for order, we simply require the number of rows and the number of columns. Let's take a look at that. In the first part, we simply want to find the number of rows and number of columns. How many rows are there? There are 3 rows. How many columns do you think are there? There are 4 columns, as you can observe. So the order would be 3 by 4. We'll read it as 3 by 4, right? Okay. What about the number of elements? Number of elements is actually equal to the number of rows times the number of columns, which is 3 into 4, which is 12. Simply 12. That's what we have, right? We simply multiply these two together and we get the number of elements in this matrix. What about the third part? Now, the third part is also very simple. Third part, we need the values of these few elements, which are A13, A21, A33, A24 and A23. Let's try to find these values, right? Let's try to find the values of these elements, right? So, A13 represents first row and third column. In the first row, we have to select third column, which is this. The element present at that location is 19. What about A21? A21 represents second row and first column, this particular element over here. This is equal to 35. What about A33? A33 represents the third row and third column. Third row and third column is this. This is minus 5. What about A24? A24 represents the second row and the fourth column. This is 12. A24 is 12. What about A23? A23 is second row and the third column, which is 5 by 2. So this is equal to 5 by 2. And yes, that's the complete solution of this question. You can take a look at it completely, and that's all for this question over here.